Hi everyone. So today is my day off, and as happens every once in a while, God will have me start learning. Oh my gosh, so much has happened. So yes, I'm still in the motel. Yes, externally things have not changed at here where I am. However, things have changed at work, like a lot. Okay, so we're in a little bit of a separation right now. My husband and I. Now that I know who he is, God needed me to step away from him for a moment. But he had to send a text. And the way that he has to send a text is, it tested my faith. It tested my resolve to continue with this path. And I did cry. And I buried myself in God. And I said, this is not the way you said it was going to be. This is not what I was expecting. And so I laid it on his shoulders. And I cried into him. And I laid at his feet for several days. 3 days to be exact. And when I went to work, God said, don't speak to him. Don't talk to him at all. I was like, okay. And he was surprised. So my only response to him via text was, no worries. That's all God said to say. So the next day, he wasn't sure what he was going to come into, because he's used to the worldly girls, the ones that you tell them something they don't like and they literally will blow you up. And so he was worried that that was going to happen. It didn't. God said, show him grace. I showed him grace. And I just pulled myself away. And I realize now why that was, that God had. So it was a leap of faith for him to show him that I'm not like other women, that I'm not like the women he's used to dealing with, that I'm not going to respond to him in the way that other women have responded to him, including his ex-girlfriend. Because I know they're broken up. He hasn't been with her in a while. And God allowed him to use her as a reason for me not to be in close proximity of contact with him. Because I could have gone down that rabbit hole. I could have gone up to him and said, why did you flirt with me? Why did you talk to me the way you were talking to me? Why did you volunteer to eat my food? And just why even interact with me? Just ignore me. Why? I could have gone down that path, but God said, show him grace. And I said, okay, there is a reason why I have him doing this. And so, because I've been sitting with God and I've been asking him, what is happening? I need to understand. I began to see words about sitting with God and asking God to show me the things that I have not seen. Things that are wondrous things, miraculous things. And so yesterday was the 17th. On the 16th, there was a video I was watching of a prophet. And there were some words that popped out. One of them being deviation. Another phrase was turning wheel. And then ever after. He hasn't given me any information on that. And then Exodus 10:19, chapter 10, verse 19. So he had me look up the definition of deviation. Deviation is a deflection, something to avoid something. And the word that I got right before I looked up the definition said, the reason he responded to you that way was for your protection. And I was like, so then I started asking God about why would he be protecting me? What is it that I'm not seeing? What's going on? And now, during this whole situation, a situation happened at work. Now, this is the man I work with. Okay? And he hasn't been scratching all day until I got on the video. You know, those evil spirits, they'll try and get you to not put out the words that God wants you to put out because it's helping to release people from their shackles. And it's opening eyes and opening ears. And because of these questions that they're now having, they're having different conversations with God. And God is able to give them additional revelation. And God is able to give them additional information, things they wouldn't have had before. But because we're being obedient and we're doing the work, even though the things that are going on in our lives are causing us to question our own walk, our own faith, we're doing it out of obedience, regardless of whatever's going on around us, regardless of what we're going through, regardless of our feelings, regardless of how much we are crying. And yes, right before getting on this video, I was crying. Okay. So deviation is a deflection, something to avoid. And the turning of the wheel came up in Ezekiel chapter 10, verse 11. And it was about the cherubim and how the cherubim has wheels that have eyes on them. And the cherubim, it's an angel, when they look in a direction, that's the direction the wheels go into. And then God said, what do you do when I turn you? I'm like, I go in that direction. And he goes, you don't pivot on your own. I show you a path and you follow it. And you keep going until I stop you. And then I push you in a different direction. It's all going to come together. In this season, God is inspecting our hearts. For those of us who are about to walk into our marriage, who are about to walk into all of the things that God has been telling us, it's going to happen simultaneously. And this is why he is telling us that we need to be prepared in our hearts, in our minds. Because if we're walking in the way that we understand how God is leading us, he's giving us insight into what's going to come and at what time. But if we're like this and we're just going through the motions, we're going to miss everything. We're not going to see how he's bringing it together. I can see the things he's bringing together. I'm like, okay, that one there. Okay, that one there. Okay, that one there. Okay, so I'm preparing myself to step into those roles when they come up. I'm not going to go and second guess myself and go, oh, is this God? Is this God? I don't know. Is this God? No, I am sure that it's God because he's been showing me this is going to be part of your life. This is going to be part of your life. This is going to be part of your life. This is going to be part of your life. And I'm like, okay. And in the moments that he's showing me that this and this and this and this are coming, he's also revealing to me the people that are against me, the people that are at the head of the things that are against me. Okay, so he's inspecting our hearts. Jeremiah 7, chapter 17, verse 10, and Psalm 139, verses 23 to 24. He's checking to see, are we more in love with the things that he's bringing to us, or are we in love with him? Is he our number one? Is he the reason that we're doing these things? Because remember, he doesn't want us to go back into the world. He doesn't want us, if we're not ready to step into what he has for us and we forget him, we're going to be held back. He's like, no, you're not ready. I have to make sure that your heart posture is according to my will. that you only look to me. When this man comes and he starts to lead me, I am not going to just blindly follow him. I'm going to use my discernment, and I am going to use my ears to hear. Because if God starts to tell me, no, this is not the way I want you to go, no, 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 then I need to go, okay, I need to go pray. I need to go understand. Did he not see or understand something? Did he miss something? Doesn't mean he's a bad person. Doesn't mean that he's trying to forcefully bring me back into the world. It means that there may have been some clarity that he didn't get. And because of that, God is looking to me to bring that clarity to him, to be able to guide him in the direction that God is really looking for him to go. Or there may be a person who's hiding their true feelings, someone who's a spirit who is so manipulative and so hard to discern that God needs me to step in and say, okay, I'm going to give you what you need to understand what this spirit is trying to do. And then I can bring that clarity to my husband. That is why it is important that in the very beginning of this relationship, of this union, you keep that union just between you and him. Regardless of whether you're a woman or a man, you keep it between the two of you. The reason is that God is going to allow you to build trust within each other. And it's not going to take very long. As soon as you start to connect eyes to eyes, ears to ears, you're going to start to trust each other. The reason he sent me the text the way he sent it to me, he prayed before he sent it. It did make me cry. It did make me sad because it was a hard pill to swallow. And I just, okay, God, why is he sending me this text? Why are you telling me he's still single and yet he's telling me he's not? I said, and then God reminded me of the other man that he had me thinking was the man for me. And I was like, oh, you've already put me through this. My heart has been prepared to show my husband grace. I'm like, okay, there is something I don't see. There is something I'm not paying attention to. Now, before this text, before this communication came through, we were talking to each other closely. We were spending time together, and we were enjoying the time we were spending together. But a situation occurred when I was working with this other manager. He's a crew chief, whose name happens to be Jesus. And he is not a very nice man. And I did record a video where I said that, he spoke down to me, making me feel inferior because I'm a woman, inferior because I'm not at his level. I'm a staff member, so I have to do what he tells me. But the thing is that God put this righteous anger within me, so I began to talk to Cody, the boss that hired me, who is my favorite manager, because him and I, we're so alike in a lot of ways. And I tell him, you remind me of my son. And so that's the kind of relationship that we have. It's like a mother-son relationship. When I see him getting a little out of his realm, I'm like, slow down, think through what you're about to do. And he's like, and he just looks at me because he knows that I'm right. He needs to slow down. He needs to stop putting the cart before the horse. He needs to calm himself. He needs to bring his emotional state down. Okay, so I was telling him everything that I was going through with this other manager. And he was like, that's not right. He goes, I'm going to have him apologize. My initial instinct was fear. No, don't have him apologize. If you tell him, he's going to start. And then God goes, exactly. Let him come after you. Let him come against you. And I was like, okay. So my husband walked in, and he realizes that I am upset. Like, I'm livid. because I am just like, and he's just watching me like, I've never seen you this mad. I've never seen you this upset. And shortly after that, he sent me the text. Now, I haven't seen any movement other than us getting closer and we're talking and, you know, things progressing slowly. After this text, I'm like, okay, whatever. One of the things that he said is that he needs to spend more time with his girlfriend. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm neither here nor there about it. God says to be patient and show you grace. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I hadn't looked at the schedule for this week that we're in. I thought he had his same schedule that he always has. It wasn't until Friday when the general manager, no, it was on Saturday. Yes, it was on Saturday because he wasn't there. The general manager and the assistant manager, so Cody and Will is the general manager, Cody is the assistant, were talking about the fact that Will was tired of getting yelled at because Ben has been getting 15 hours of overtime. And I just realized I have to write that down. Where am I going to put it? In today's. Okay. I have to look up that number. I have to look up what word that is, or I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what God is trying to tell me through this number. So he's been getting a total of, actually, so 15 hours of overtime plus the 40 hours that he's been working equals the number 55, which is the number of grace. Oh my goodness. And God just brought it all together, because here's where it's going. Okay, so this manager and I worked with him on Sunday of last week. And I was his close, and no. So I worked with him on Sunday. He treated me poorly. On Monday, I was telling Cody what happened. Tuesday, I get a text saying, hey, can you cover my shift because I can't come in? I'm like, okay, that's fine. So Jesus is the closing manager that day. I went to work, did my job like I normally do. He waited until the end of the night to apologize, but it wasn't an apology. He said, I'm sorry you took it that way. I didn't mean it that way. And I was like, are you trying to gaslight me right now? And I said, you hurt my feelings because you talked to me in a way that made me feel like I never want to help you, like I never want to do anything for you. And I said, I'm here closing because you weren't going to have a closing employee. I said, I always pull my weight. I always help whenever anyone needs help. I said, so I was very, very surprised when you talked to me that way. And he said, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. And I said, okay, no problem. Since that day, he has not allowed me to work with him. So if I'm scheduled into his shift, he'll send me home early. The first time it happened, I went to Cody and I said, so am I being punished for having spoken up against his treatment of me? And Cody's like, no. So the next day when I work with Cody, or the next time I worked with Cody, I said, I feel like he's retaliating against me. I said, I bet you $5 today that he's going to send me home as soon as he walks through that door. And he's like, no, he's not. I'm like, yeah, he is. Watch. And he did. He sent me home. Then I switched schedules with another employee. I told, because he asked, he was like, hey, Diana. I'm like, okay, spill it out. What is it you want? What schedule do you want me to take? And he goes, well, I don't want to come in at 9 o'clock in the morning. I said, okay, fine. And he goes, but you're through Rush. I said, I know, but I'm not going to end up staying through Rush if I stay my schedule. I said, I'll take your 9 o'clock, you can take my 11 o'clock, and you can work through Rush. And then I looked at Cody, and Ben was listening to this entire conversation. I looked at Cody and I said, I bet you he'll keep Kai. And he looks at me and he goes, no, he won't. He'll send him home early. I'm like, no, he won't, because it's not me. Because he's coming in with the understanding that I'm going to be his Rush person. And I said, and I didn't like the fact that last time he sent me home early and you ended up staying till 9 o'clock. And that's not fair. Because you have a family. You have little kids. I said, I am not going to allow him to put on you his mistreatment of me. It's not okay. And so I switched the schedule with this young man, and I ended up coming in at 9. Cody ended up keeping me until 4 o'clock because it just worked out that way. Or no, until 2 o'clock because it just worked out that way. And then I went home. When I came in on Monday, I said, so did he send Kai home early? And he goes, of course not. I'm like, okay. Now, at this point, I already knew that the schedule had been changed. So, remember, the text message that I was sent said, I need to spend more time with my girlfriend. I'm like, okay. But he changed his schedule. I'm like, wait, how are you spending more time with your girlfriend if you're working nights now? She works during the day. You don't see her until she gets off work. So you're actually taking 2 days away from her. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And then I heard the Mission Impossible music. Dun 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 dun. And I'm like, excuse me? And I'm like, is he on a mission for you, Father? And so now I began asking Father, like, what's going on? Like, what is he doing? And God said, why is he closing on Monday and Tuesday? Who works those days? I'm like, you're sending him to give a word to Jesus? And he's like, no, I'm sending a word of judgment. He is being judged at this moment. And things are going to come to light. So a lot of what's going on right now, I've already been through when I used to work for another pizza restaurant. In that moment, the crew chief, several of the cashiers were involved in stealing money from the company. Jesus is the head. Carla, Jade, and Cassie were his helpers. Because Jade and Carla tapped out, they said, God, no, I can't sleep, I can't eat, I'm done. I give up. But they're still in tap with the store because they're hoping that he can get me out, that he can get me to quit, that he can get me fired. Because if he can get me to quit and he can get me fired, that means that now the store can go back to the way it was. Carla can come back, Jade can come back and take their positions, their rightful positions as they see it. But God says no. No, 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 no. So Ben is now defending me, championing for me, because this man is saying things about my character that are not true, doing things to making me feel like something I'm not. And God is saying, be still. Let him work. Let him do this. He is the one I have sent. Okay, so I have to abide and be still. Okay, so the next thing that God showed me was Exodus chapter 10, verse 19. And this came because the wind started picking up. And I'm like, the wind is picking up, Father, but it's coming from the west. And he said, look it up in the Bible. So I did a Google search for the west wind. When was it that the west wind shows up in the Bible? And it shows up in Exodus chapter 10, verse 19. When God blew the locusts out of Egypt because Pharaoh asked to be forgiven and so that his people would have food. Because remember, the reason that God sent the locusts was because Pharaoh wouldn't give the Israelites the opportunity to go out into the desert and worship him and celebrate God appropriately. Because there was a festival happening that was coming up. And so Pharaoh said, fine, just ask your God to forgive me and to take away the locusts. So God sent in the west wind. This is how he confirmed it. So he had in the afternoon as I was going home, he showed me the west wind on 616. 616 means, and it's a number he's been showing me. Shoot, I don't have it written down, I don't think. Give me one moment, please. No, I didn't write it down. But it 616, look it up. Anyway, so he's been showing me 616. And I had already gotten that confirmation in the morning. So here I am, 616 in the afternoon, and now I'm seeing the west wind. The west wind blew out. Yeah, so I got home Friday night. Was this Friday? Was 6? No, Friday night was June 14th. So on June 14th, this is where it all began. I came home after closing, and there were these insects. They call them stink bugs because if you step on them, they stink. And my neighbor was outside, which confirmed another word that God had been having me hear, that you are going to start to know who the people against you are. And the woman next door started telling me everything that's been going on in this place, talking about the owner and the fact that he sleeps with women of the street, and that's sometimes how they pay him is by sexual favors, and which I was like, well, God had already shown me that, but I hadn't seen it. Okay. So I came home, and these bugs, this woman was like freaking out. Okay. Now, the day before had been my day off. No, it hadn't been my day off. When I came home on Thursday night, God had me clean and disinfect the floor with bleach and Pine Sol. And he had me clean the front door. And then, as soon as it was all clean, he had me bless the entire room, space where I live. Now, these bugs got in her house, and they got in everyone else's places, but they didn't come into mine. And she told me that it was like watching an ocean moving. And I was like, that's a pretty odd analogy for someone to say in a desert. And so they were outside my door. But there wasn't very many. There was like maybe 3 or 4. Everywhere else that we went to go see was covered in these insects. And so I said, okay, well, I got to go to work tomorrow morning, so I got to go to bed. And so I came inside, and I was expecting to find these bugs in my home. And I was like, there's nothing here, because there is a gaping hole underneath the door where the ants come in and, you know, medium-sized bugs, and these were medium-sized bugs. And I was like, how do I not have any of these bugs inside? And then God reminded me, because you blessed the home. Remember, I told the Israelites to mark their doors with the blood of a lamb so that the pestilence that was coming would not harm them. Oh, so then this morning, he woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I started praying for God to show me what's coming, for God to show me the things that are coming that I need to be aware of. And so, then, so this is going to be a two-parter, guys. There's going to be a second part, maybe even a third part. I don't know, because I'm coming up on the 30-minute timeline that my phone allows me to record. It only allows me to record in 30-minute increments. I think it's 32:11 is the cutoff. Interesting time to be cut off, isn't it? Okay, so be prepared for a second part. All right, so God had me write down all the numbers that this woman was speaking about, and then one of the scriptures that she talked about was Proverbs 31:10, and it talks about a virtuous woman. Now, God didn't have me write everything down. These are the words he had me write down: virtuous woman, kind, wisdom, and humble. And then she also talked about Titus 2, and he had me pull righteous living from that. And so there were a couple of words. There was a word that popped out of these two particular scriptures, and it was the word sober. And I was like, okay, do you mean like sober drunk, or do you mean like what exactly is the sober that you're talking about? And then God says, look it up. So I did. I looked it up. And it's not about alcohol. It's not about drunkenness. It is about becoming sensible and solemn. And then God had me look up solemn. And solemn is being sincere and dignified. And that is what God has been telling us that we need to be. We need to be sincere. We need to be honest. We need to be dignified. We need to be sensible. We need to be solemn. We need to be wise. And we need to be kind. And we need to be humble. And we need to be loving. Because those are his virtues. And so he brought me to Isaiah 33:20, where he talks about not being moved, being still. And I was like, okay, because I was rabid. I was so angry. I was going to go to the general manager tomorrow or Thursday and tell the general manager, you need to put me on this man's shifts. I'm not going to hide from him. I am going to face him, and I'm going to show him that I'm